invasion angles, just great. Like, I sat down to watch Impact Wrestling, and in the opening video, you had highlights from Dynamite, and I was like, Simon, you finally done it. You finally lost your mind. You put on the wrong show. But no, it's because AEW's invading Impact, and Impact invading AEW, and Kenny Omega is best friends with Gallows and Anderson. It is wonderful, and it makes me feel very positive about the world of professional wrestling. But my name is Simon from WhatCulture, and Impact Wrestling just has so many shows to the point I broke myself and I laughed. But we are coming off Genesis, which was last Saturday, and now we have Impact Wrestling on Wednesday, and then this Saturday, it's Hard to Kill. So look, if you've got nothing else to do, you may as well watch this. Let's up those downs. And as I just said, yes, it is the pay-per-view this Saturday, so we need to start building these angles, or at least, going home with them. That's the term that wrestlers like to use, which is why here Kimber Lee, Deonna Purrazzo's best mate, was taken on Taya Valkyrie, who just so happens to be taken on Deonna Purrazzo at Hard to Kill. The commentators were kind of making out as well, the reason this was going down is so Kimber Lee could roughen up Taya Valkyrie before Saturday. And I was like, well, what Impact official decided that would be a good idea? It doesn't sound very fair. Also, Kimber was doing this until she made the stupid idea to go and hit a swanton bomb, and she missed. And all this was quite good, and I was quite enjoying myself, but then shenanigans hit me in my face. I don't know whether this is unfair, but because of all the shenanigans I'm seeing in professional wrestling at the moment, well, I just feel like I've been worn down. Because Deonna was here, which does make sense, because again, she's best buddies with Kimber Lee, but Rosemary, who's also best buddies with Taya Valkyrie, who was by ringside, went up to Deonna and was like, man, you ain't getting in the ring, and if you do, I'm gonna kick your ass. But then Susan, who we were introduced to last week, she popped up too, and now she's on the side of the world champion, and they both started beating Rosemary up. Valkyrie was so surprised by this, she started twirling around like, oh, I don't know what's going on, allowing Kimber Lee to hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment with the added distraction and get the 1, 2, 3. Now, here's the thing. Now, I don't think she is going to win at the pay-per-view, but that makes it doubly odd that she would lose here, so maybe she does actually win the title, but also distraction, roll up, distraction, roll up, distraction, roll up. Is it that wrestling will just implode into the ground and vanish if we don't do this? Because now it is spreading among all the companies, and I understand why. It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card, but sometimes we just need winners, and sometimes we just need losers. And you want to know how I know? Because I am a massive loser. Down. I do quite like this Susan stuff, though. It's just so bonkers, it tickles me. My guess now, though, given all of this, is that Suze is actually tricking Deonna, and maybe she screws her out of the Knockouts title. So now I've said it, and we can't go back. Ain't Doc Brown. Kenny Omega, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Don Callis were then in their bus going, hey, we're the best. Why doesn't somebody bring us a big bag of cheese? And the best thing about this is what they must be doing is they just drive this vehicle down to Impact Wrestling every week in terms of the story, and then they just act like arrogant dicks on said bus. I really enjoy it. We then had another great advert courtesy of Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone, and as ever, they just ripped down Impact Wrestling. And my favourite bit is usually Tony Schiavone that does this. He just tells you the AEW card. So it's like they've attacked Impact, and now they're telling you, look, if you want to watch some better wrestling, just turn this off as soon as the commercial is done and tune in to AEW on TNT. There's just something about these two, they bring joy to my life. We also got a video packages for Sammy Callahan versus Eddie Edwards, which is going down at Hard to Kill. And man, does that name tying into this, because as Sammy told us, it's going to be a barbed wire massacre match, and because he is a little bit doolally in the head, he has more experience in these, because that's right, he's done it before. And on the note of Sammy Callahan, somebody hacked my video last week and started playing around with the ups and downs. Don't even think about doing it again, Sammy. And don't also come at me with your barbed wire either. I don't want none of that crap. But look, you do your thing, and I'll do my thing. I got my eye on it. Rohit Raju and Chris Bay then defeated Manic and Suicide. I was like, well, how have they done this? Because I thought Manic was TJP, and I also thought Suicide was TJP. So what the hell is going on? Then I have no idea, so you can colour me confused. But this was actually all right. The story here, of course, is that both Chris and Rohit are so desperate to unmask these guys that was their entire focus, and sometimes it helped them and sometimes it didn't help them because they kept taking their eye off the ball, and instead looked at masks. I did at one point go, wait a minute, wasn't this meant to be TJP turning up with Manic to take on these two? But I guess something got lost in the shuffle. I mean, this suicide guy too, in terms of the story, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not there. Yeah, a little bit like Davari. Yeah, kind of shockingly, they did win. Like, Rohit was too close to the masked flame at one point because he was so desperate to get it that he almost cost himself the match. But then Chris Bay was in there, he hit the R finesse, and he got the 1-2-3. And the big result is that at Hard to Kill, we're going to get TJP versus Rohit Raju versus Chris Bay for the X Division title. And not only does that have to be good, because how the hell can't it be? I think we should give that X Division title to Chris Bay. You got something in him, and it's time to light a fire under his ass. And then we need to figure out what's going on with Suicide and Manic. I have no idea what we're going to do there, because again, Impact Wrestling has the power to be mad. The tease was then on because Taya and Rosemary were in the back and they were saying, oh no, this Saturday we're also going to have to deal with Susan. You see, we're going to do a 180 and it's going to be Suze that allows Taya to become the champ. It's just me guessing, by the way. I have no clue. And then, well, once again, I just don't know if I'm being unfair. But I'm just a human being that watches wrestling, so I have to take all of my feelings and let them wash through my body. But it was Tommy Dreamer versus Cody Dina, and we just had yet more nonsense. This is all building to that six-man tag at Hard to Kill, where Eric Young's group is going to take on Rhino, Tommy Dreamer, and Cousin Jake. But here, Cody Dina kept antagonizing his cuz, so eventually Jake was like, you know what, I'm done with it. He attacked, and we got the disqualification. There was a brawl afterwards that saw Young, Doring, and Dina all hit pile drivers, as if this is some kind of special handshake that Eric Young has taught his minions. And I really do need to know what Eric's plan is here. At the moment, he's just rounded up a couple of dudes, and they run in roughshod over Impact Wrestling. And he says weird things in the mud like, I gotta take over the world. I just need a little bit more down. A quick reminder that we're also getting the finals at Hard to Kill because we had a quick contract signing between Havoc and Nevaeh, and they're going to be taking on Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. And I just want to applaud Impact Wrestling because they have made these Knockout Impact Tag Team Wrestling Championships feel like it's something that you want to win. So as a fan, I'm now invested in them. It didn't work out very well for Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz because they ran their mouth a little bit too much, meaning Havoc and Nevaeh grabbed them around the throat. And I don't know about you, but if someone does that, I only assume that they want these people to die. I'm quite looking forward to it though, because these are not the teams that I personally would have picked, but that just makes it all the more interesting. So you know what? I am giving them an overall up. Brian Myers then found Scott D'Amore afterwards because he was overseeing this and said, look man, I want some real competition. And very handedly, Josh Alexander then arrived and he said, hey, I'd love to be the competition, so those two are going to have a fight. Although, I think I may have been wrong, but I swear Scott D'Amore said, okay, you're going to have a pinfalls and submissions match. And I kind of looked through my wrestling rule book and I was like, that's just a normal wrestling match. But maybe I misheard. You know, I can be a little bit doolally. We'll have to wait and see. Tenille Dashwood then got herself into it again. Last week she was saying, Rosemary, please be my tag team partner. And when she said no, they kind of fell out to the point they had a match here. Even though this was full of nonsense as well, I don't know, maybe I just got past it up. Because Rosemary's Foolish tried to attack Caleb with a K early on. He just got his hairspray out and sprayed it right in her face. And then later on, when he tried to get involved again, out came Crazy Steve. Now, for about 30 seconds, I was like, what? That just came out of nowhere. And then I remembered, well, at least Rosemary and Crazy Steve had a prior relationship within Impact. They chased each other away, allowing Tenille to try and use the hairspray again, but she failed. Rosemary used it and then hit the spear, and she got the victory. So now I presume we'll do some kind of mixed tag with all these four people. Look, it was fine, it was inoffensive, and at least it gives them something to do. Good promo by Rich Swan afterwards. He is going to kick everybody's ass, including Luke Gallows and including Carl Anderson, and then he's going to turn his attention to Kenny Omega and prove that he is the Impact World Champion. I mean, he didn't say that. It doesn't have to prove it. You can tell, because when you see him, he has a belt. But I like Rich Swan. I think he does a good job up. We also had a quick catch-up with everything that happened between the Good Brothers and the North, which obviously ultimately has seen Josh Alexander and Ethan Page basically break up, and Ethan Page decide to have a match against himself. I have no idea what we're going to do with the Karate Man, but there is a large portion of me that is very intrigued. And then stories started clicking together up. It was Moose versus Matthew Palmer, because of course last week Matthew Palmer was able to survive 3 minutes with the Moose, so now he gets his proper opportunity. It was because of Willie Mack that this had happened, and if you saw Genesis, you know Willie Mack may never come back to professional wrestling within the narrative, because Moose absolutely wrecked him. And surprise, surprise, he did it here too. Because Palmer tried to hit with a bunch of drop kicks early on, and man, Moose was just swatting him away like he was a fly. This was the equivalent if I went and kicked a building and expected it to fall down and was like, oh, I can't believe that it didn't. And the building did fall down and absolutely crushed me. Look, essentially, Moose ruined this poor kid. Maybe he'll never come back. We didn't even get a finish here either because the referee stopped it after Moose just rained down these punches and these kicks and these elbows and just all these blows. And he was like, look, I think this is well too much. And Moose didn't even care because Moose doesn't care. But as I always say when I do bring up Moose, Impact has done such a good job in basically turning him into the major heel in the company, so they get another round of applause. What I don't get is that even though he comes out with the TNA World title, which is meant to be, oh man, he's all crazy in the head, he still gets announced as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, even though he's not. Then got a promo video for our main event, which is going to be the new Bullet Club taking on the Machine Guns and Rich Swan. And if you weren't excited about this before, surely this did the job. I mean, you could argue that Hard to Kill is a one-match show, then actually when you go through the rest of the matches, on paper at least, it seems very good. It does not bode very well for our invading party though, because we were then getting our main event, which was Carl Anderson taking on Rich Swan, and Rich Swan got the victory. And you're damn right he did. He's the champ, he should be winning up. Everybody was banned from ringside, so our relative dudes were watching from their backstage positions, and this basically started off with Rich Swan running wild until Anderson caught him and decided, I don't like your arm, Rich Swan, I'm going to try and remove it from your body. And he did that using submissions, but also sometimes taking it and just whamming it into the ring post. This was the theme throughout the thing as well, because Rich Swan kept making these cool comebacks, but Anderson kept cutting him off until he failed to do that. In fact, he may have just got a little bit too cocky, and Rich used the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, to get the 1, 2, 3. Now, I do want to make 2 points about this. One, I think if you do have a world champion, he should just hit people with his big move and get the victory. But also 2, if you're gonna do the surprise roll-up, can we please, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, keep it to one a show? It sent Gallows and Omega loopy, so they went and attacked the Motor City Machine Guns in their backstage area. And then all of a sudden Carl Anderson was there, and all of a sudden Rich Swan was there, and these 6 dudes just had a massive brawl while shouting, hey man, please buy Hard to Kill on pay-per-view. They didn't do that, but that was the point. It wasn't a bad way to finish the whole thing to remind you that we do have that on Saturday, especially because you're definitely going to get good matches, you're definitely going to get some crazy storylines, but you are also going to get intense violence that makes you want to cry. That's just Impact Wrestling, and it's why now surely we can't go, oh, it's just WWE light. It is not. They have found their own personality, and this episode can have an up. Now, nobody screw with my ups and downs. I think I've made it very clear. But please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com where you can wear yourself to articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. I got some work to do. I will see you soon.